Mugen TV News.
Hey guys, MugenLord here, and I'm back again with another video, and today I want to talk about Sony acquiring Bungie Studios. Now I know like 2 days late on this, but I figured I just wanted to give it some time so I can have them just like sit down and really think about it and just wanted to give my thoughts on it. And this is pretty much an important event that's going on within the gaming industry, because after what Microsoft had done with acquiring Activision Blizzard, it really definitely shook up the gaming industry. And right now what we're seeing right here, everybody's wondering what was Sony's response is going to be, and now we're witnessing an acquisition war, and how much will this impact us as gamers and also as consumers all together. So we're going to dive right into this video. I wanted to go through an article explaining, the process of what this means with this acquisition between Sony and Bungie. Then I'm just going to give you my thoughts on the entire thing. So we're going to dive right into it. So from IGN, it says Sony buys Bungie for $3.6 billion. Now, $3.6 billion, yeah, that's a lot, but compared to what the purchases that Microsoft has been doing, that's really just like pocket change compared to what Microsoft is doing. But this is still something to not gawk at, like right now. Like, this is crazy. So it's a blockbuster acquisition, Guardian. Now, Sony Interactive Entertainment has announced it will acquire Destiny developer Bungie for $3.6 billion. GamesIndustry.biz reports that the following deal, Bungie will be ran as an independent subsidiary of Sony Interactive Entertainment, and will remain a multi-platform studio with the option to self-publish and reach players where they choose to play. Now, this is the thing that really caught me by surprise when it came to this acquisition, that Sony is going to still continue to allow them to be an independent studio and allow them to continue to put their games, their IPs or whatever on multiple platforms. That really has me scratching my head, especially after spending $3.6 billion. But I digress. I'll explain more about that or give you my thoughts on that at the end of this article. Now, Bungie is best known as the creators of Halo, but since becoming an independent studio, they have focused their efforts on Destiny, a live service first-person shooter RPG where players can explore the galaxy as Guardians of Light. The company is also working on a new IP. Now, we've had a strong partnership with Bungie since the inception of Destiny franchise, and I couldn't be more thrilled to officially welcome the studio to the PlayStation family, says Sony Interactive Entertainment President CEO Jim Ryan. Now, in the official PlayStation blog post, Ryan begins by confirming Bungie's independence. I want to be very clear to the community that Bungie will remain an independent and multi-platform studio and publisher. Ryan also says that Bungie will sit alongside the PlayStation Studios organization where the two groups will collaborate. Now, as far as this acquisition is concerned, I think this is another thing, or one of the main reasons why they wanted to acquire the studio, and probably another reason why they wanted to allow them to remain independent, is because they really, I guess, they are aiming for their expertise moving forward for whatever new IP that Sony is planning on doing with their other studios. That's what I believe, and that's why I'm thinking this was going on. So PlayStation Studios will also gain access to Bungie's proprietary tools, which can be used for PlayStation Studio teams, according to the blog. And that's another thing you have to remember when these acquisitions does happen. The studios or the companies that acquired these studios now have access and have ownership over their engines, whatever tools they have and everything. That's why it's such a big deal too that Activision Blizzard has been acquired by Microsoft, because now Microsoft also has access to whatever tools that they have, whatever engines that they're running on, and everything. So you also have to keep that in mind with these mergers. So it's not just having these IPs, but it's having everything. So in a separate blog post, Bungie detailed what the acquisition means for the company, calling Sony Interactive Entertainment a partner who unconditionally supports us in all we are, and who wants to accelerate our vision to create generation-spanning entertainment, all while preserving the creative independence that beats in Bungie's heart. Bungie reaffirms that it retains its ability to independently publish and develop games even after the acquisition, and that's it's committed to supporting games and communities where they choose to play. This is Sony's sixth acquisition since 2021, though most of its studios acquisitions have been studios with long histories with Sony, like Bluepoint, House Marque, or support teams in specialized studios like Nixxes and Valkyrie Entertainment. While Destiny 2 has been heavily promoted alongside PlayStation with exclusive bonuses for players on the system, Bungie's history is intertwined across PlayStation, Xbox, and PC, and the company hopes to remain multi-platform after the deal. Now, this is the thing. This is all said and done. This is all said for right now, because these acquisitions take a long time, and you have to understand that, because a lot of people think that this acquisition was in response to Microsoft purchasing and acquiring Activision Blizzard, which is not. It's because if you know anything about acquisitions, acquisitions take a long time. This is a long process, and from what I've read, this acquisition was in the making for like 6 months. Acquisitions can take months to even years to happen, because you really have to get a bunch of lawyers. You have to work out the details as far as dividing up assets, resources, stocks, everything. And then you have to go through the process of whether or not, if this is even a legal merger, will the government jump and get involved in stuff. So there's a lot of murkiness that goes on within this that has to be ironed out before the acquisition can take place. Now, from hearing this, they still hope to still remain independent, because that means right now they're independent as of right now, but the question is, will they be independent once the acquisition finally seal the deal on it? Now, as I said before, which I want to go round back to and talk about, is that it really sounds kind of funny, or it just doesn't make sense for them to remain multi-plat, especially after Sony has spent $3.6 billion. You can't spend that much money and then just still have it go onto your competitors' consoles. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, look at the history of what Microsoft done with Bethesda. People swore up and down that Microsoft wouldn't be stupid to not make these games multi-platform. Like, you have to be out of your mind for Microsoft to spend almost $8 billion on Bethesda at that time and expect them to still have their competitors reap the benefits or get a portion of the profits. You have to be a fool to actually believe that. That'll be stupid to not have those as exclusives. Then why make such a big purchase? And then Activision Blizzard, you can forget it. COD, the future Call of Duty games, unless there can be some exceptions like the Warzone, like if you do battle royales, I can see that being multi-plat. But a lot of the mainline Call of Duties, there's no way in the world any Call of Duty after the official acquisition of Activision Blizzard by Microsoft, best believe that's all going to be exclusive to Microsoft. So that's what I'm scratching my head with this whole acquisition with Sony and Bungie. Now, if you guys don't know, Bungie has a history. Bungie has a history of clashing with studios that they work with, and they really have a thing about being independent. They want to express their creative freedom. And Microsoft, when they were working with Microsoft with Halo during the time, they had a lot of issues with Microsoft, and that's why they up and packed their bags and left eventually. But they couldn't take the Halo property with them because Microsoft owns that IP, and that's when they created Destiny. But for them to create Destiny, they went through Activision Blizzard as their publisher and whatever other legal partnerships that they had going on, and we already know how that turned out. A lot of the issues that Bungie had or Destiny had was a lot of the microtransactions and a lot of the things that were going on within Destiny. And Destiny had a rocky start, but they flipped everything around, and a lot of fans were saying that Activision Blizzard is holding Bungie down when it comes to when it comes to Destiny, that they're the ones that's impacting them. And there was a lot of dispute and a lot of anger coming from Bungie as far as like the developers within the studio was just really upset, and they really couldn't express themselves and how they were and where they want to take the franchise moving forward. And eventually Activision Blizzard had let Bungie Studios go, and they've been independent for some time. And Destiny 2 was able to flip itself, and they have been doing good ever since. So now they're back at this point with Sony. And the question is, did Bungie have all the leverage when it came to this? Like when it came to cutting this deal with Sony? Or did Sony had leverage over Bungie? Because if you think about it, what studio comes in and say, hey, you guys are about to buy me, but here's a list of demands that we have here. So it seemed like that Bungie had some type of leverage to even go into this deal to be able to still be independent and go multi-platform. And this also raises the question, now if they allowed them to do this, to remain independent, was this acquisition more out of desperation because they don't want Microsoft to acquire any other studios? Now, this is not a response to the Activision Blizzard, but this could have maybe been a response to, in my opinion, the Bethesda acquisition from Microsoft, that they had to start thinking about what other studios they need to acquire, and they just needed to at least secure Bungie with Destiny, you know? So he was like, look, you guys, if you remain independent, we just wanted to buy you guys, so at least y'all guys are still under our umbrella, just to stop and block Microsoft from making any more acquisitions, even if they even considered to grab Bungie at some point. So that's also an interesting way, in my opinion, that maybe that's what Sony was doing, just to try to steamroll or just to block that from a potential buyout from Microsoft. So now that we have that, what does this mean moving forward as far as the acquisition wars? What does this mean for us as consumers and as gamers? Is because these studios are now being like gobbled up, and Sony still isn't done, because they did announce that they will continue to do more acquisitions, and there will be more acquisition announcements sometime this year maybe. So what potential studios could they be acquiring? Many are saying Square Enix. I can see that happening. I mean, think about the mainline Final Fantasies. Most of the mainline Final Fantasy games has been exclusive to, you know, to the Sony platform, or they've been at least timed exclusive, to say the least. So I can see that possibly happen. Many people are also saying that maybe Capcom could be a purchase. I can see that happening because of Capcom's relationship with Sony. I mean, Street Fighter V was a Sony exclusive. Of course, you have Resident Evil 7. A lot of, most of the Resident Evil titles have been more so exclusive to Sony. So I could definitely see that happening. Also, people are saying Konami, because then they can have Silent Hill, Castlevania, Metal Gear Solid franchise owned by Sony themselves, and they can pretty much get whatever studio they need to get in order to help them revive those franchises. So there's a lot of things that they could potentially work on or potentially acquire. It's just a matter of who and when would these acquisitions happen, and how would this impact us? Because for console fanboys and the console wars, fanboys gobble this stuff up. But as a consumer who just want to play video games and just care about the video games and not the console fanboy wars set aside, like that really impacts them, because it creates less options for us. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would like to have the option to be able to choose what platform, remain on that platform, and still gain access to some of these AAA games and some of these titles. But if you have big companies gobbling all these up, then you would definitely eventually would have to pick a side where you want to go in order to be able to gain access to a lot of these titles. And or you would have to, if you are a gamer, you would have to go buy all the consoles like I have. I buy all the consoles. I've been doing this since I was young, and my dad has invested in a lot of, and bought a lot of consoles. So I'm just a gamer in general, so I buy them all, so I won't miss out on anything. But what about the consumers who just, one, don't have the time, or two, just don't have the luxury or the finances to be able to do those things, or it's not a strong enough hobby for them to go out and do those things, So where does that leave those gamers or those consumers when it comes to these acquisitions? That's the crazy thing about it. And I don't know, like this is going to be crazy. Now, people are saying that maybe Take-Two could be on the list for acquisition by Sony, but I don't know about that either. It's because Take-Two is doing good by themselves, especially with Grand Theft Auto. It's a money-making machine. They're making billions of dollars, and I know that their worth is much higher. Would Sony hurt their pockets or exhaust a lot of their acquisition funds, the funds they have reserved for acquisitions? Would they exhaust all that for Take-Two? I know, I'm like, and will even Take-Two even allow an acquisition like that when they're doing pretty good by themselves? So that'd be crazy. And not only that, Take-Two is such a big studio and has such a big IP such as Grand Theft Auto. Do you think that Microsoft would even allow that to happen? Which means there would probably much be a bidding war for that studio if Sony tried to make that deal. So it's crazy, man. Like I don't even know what to think at this point when it comes to this. Like, is this generation of gaming just heating up? It's just got real, man. And I just want to know your thoughts. What do you think about this acquisition with Sony and Bungie, and what studios think that Sony is going to acquire next? And do you think this is going to impact Microsoft in any way moving forward after this acquisition? And do you think whatever platforms or whatever studios that they acquire, do you think they will go the multi-platform route that Bungie is doing, being independent? Will you think the other studios remain independent, you know, moving forward? I definitely want to hear your thoughts on it. If you like the video, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and also you want to stay up to date with more acquisitions or anything that's going on in the gaming industry, hit that bell to be notified. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.